Today we are discussing about sexually transmitted diseases. So, not that all women get infected with STDs. So, in young females, vagina is lined by simple cuboidal epithelium, and pH is neutral, and it is colonized by the organisms which are similar to that of skin commensals, that is Staphylococcus and Streptococcus. But at puberty, under the effect of estrogen, stratified squamous epithelium develops. Lactobacilli become the predominant organism. That is, skin commensals are dominated by the lactobacillus, that is Dodderlin's bacillus, and pH becomes acidic, that is 3.5 to 4.5. At menopause, again it becomes as in childhood, that is atrophic changes occur, and bacterial flora is similar to that of the skin, and pH again rises to 7, that is it becomes alkaline. So, what is physiological discharge? This is commonly asked in your UHS exams as leukorrhea. So, not that all vaginal discharges are pathological, there is a physiological vaginal discharge. It is important to differentiate normal physiological changes from true infections. So, the normal vaginal discharge is white and it becomes yellowish on contact with air. It consists of desquamated epithelial cells, mucus, that is from the cervical endocervical cells. Endocervical glands secrete mucus, and the normal bacterial vaginal flora, and fluid is a transudate. Fluid form as a transudate from the vaginal wall. And physiological discharge increases due to increased mucus production from the cervix in mid-cycle under the effect of estrogen, under the effect of progesterone, and during pregnancy, and because of the use of combined oral contraceptive pills. So what are the defensive mechanisms? Defensive mechanisms in vulva are stratified squamous epithelium. It is keratinized epithelium, which protects against invasion by the microbacteria. Acidic secretion of the apocrine gland. So as we know, the apocrine glands present in vulva are Bartholin gland and skin glands in vagina. Vagina, because of the acidic pH and because of squamous epithelial lining and the normal bacterial flora present, that is Dodderlin's bacillus and other bacteria. The Dodderlin's bacillus produces lactic acid and hydrogen peroxide, H2O2, and also bacteriocins, that is acidocin and lactacin, are produced, which thereby helps in maintaining acidic pH of vagina. And in cervix, because of the cervical mucus plug and the squamous epithelial lining, this cervical mucus plug is increased because of the use of oral contraceptive pills and progesterone only pills, whereby they prevent ascending infections. So genital tract could be classified as upper genital tract, that is pelvic upper genital tract, and the lower genital tract. If upper genital tract is involved, we call it as pelvic inflammatory disease, and lower genital tract. So the various organisms causing lower genital tract infections are bacterial, fungal, viral, and parasitic. So vaginitis. So the lower genital tract infections, that is, so now our topic is sexually transmitted diseases. So the infections most commonly causing sexually transmitted diseases can be classified under bacterial, fungal, viral, and parasitic, which we will be discussing now. So vaginitis. Vaginitis is the most common gynecological condition encountered in OPDs. It is defined as a spectrum of conditions that cause vulvovaginal symptoms such as itching, burning, irritation, and abnormal vaginal discharge. So the most common organisms are bacterial vaginosis, vulvovaginal candidiasis, and trichomoniasis. But bacterial vaginosis causes 40 to 45% of the vaginal infections, but it is not a sexually transmitted disease, whereas vulvovaginal candidiasis and trichomoniasis come under STDs, that is sexually transmitted diseases or sexually transmitted infections. But bacterial vaginosis is being discussed here because if we compare and learn, we can learn it better. So bacterial vaginosis is a vaginal infection, but it is not a sexually transmitted disease. So bacterial vaginosis, it is called as vaginosis and not vaginitis because it is not caused by any specific organism, and it is only alteration of the normal flora of the vagina. So bacterial vaginosis is the name of a condition in which women, where the normal balance of the bacteria in vagina is disrupted and replaced by the overgrowth of certain bacteria. It is sometimes accompanied by discharge, odor, pain, itching, or burning. So bacterial vaginosis is a polymicrobial clinical syndrome. It is not caused by any specific organism. So resulting in replacement of the normal hydrogen peroxide producing lactobacillus, a species in the vagina, with the concentrations of anaerobic bacteria. So various spectrum of organisms causing bacterial vaginosis are Prevotella species, Mobilingus species, Gardnerella vaginalis, and Mycoplasma hominis. So if you are asked what are the organisms involved in bacterial vaginosis, there is no specific organism, but it is caused by Prevotella, Mobilingus, Gardnerella vaginalis, and Mycoplasma hominis. So how can we diagnose? Bacterial vaginosis can be diagnosed by the use of clinical criteria or Gram stain. Clinical criteria require 3 of the following symptoms or signs. So we classify it under AMSILS criteria. AMSILS criteria is frequently asked MCQs. ANSYS criteria includes four of the following. That is homogeneous grayish white discharge or alkaline pH, that is vaginal pH of more than 4.5, positive whiff test, and clue cells on wet mount. There should be at least 3 of the 3 criteria for diagnosis of bacterial vaginosis. Clue cells are the most reliable predictors. So we will discuss what are clue cells, what is whiff test. But the type of discharge is grayish white discharge, and alkaline pH. pH is more than 4.5. So you have to remember alkaline pH and grayish white discharge. Normally is whitish discharge which turns yellowish in contact with air. So what is wet mount? Wet mount is a sample of the vaginal discharge is taken from posterior fornix, and pH of the discharge is measured, and it is observed under microscopy. So under microscopy, what we can see are leukocytes, lactobacilli, clue cells, yeasts or trichomonas. But in bacterial vaginosis, these yeasts or trichomonas are absent. Yeast or trichomonas are present in yeast. Yeast means it is fungus. So in candidal infections, yeast is present. In Trichomonas vaginalis, trichomonas is present. So whiff test. The vaginal discharge taken from the posterior fornix is mounted over 10% potassium hydroxide, which emits characteristic fishy amine odor. So this is called as whiff test. So whiff test is positive in bacterial vaginosis. There is a homogeneous grayish white discharge. pH is more than 4.5, and clue cells are present on wet mount. So what are clue cells? Clue cells are the epithelial cells which are covered with bacteria, giving characteristic stippled appearance on examination. So these are clue cells. Presence of clue cells is most reliable of bacterial vaginosis. So Gram stain is used. We will detect Gram positive lactobacilli are present, but it is decreased in concentration. Gram negative and gram variable rods and cocci, that is Gardnerella vaginalis, Prevotella, Porphyromonas, and Peptostreptococci, and curved gram negative rods, that is Mobilingus, could be seen. Culture of Gardnerella vaginalis is not recommended because it is not specific. It is not caused by any specific organism. So what is the treatment? In all treatment, you need not confuse. In most of the cases, we will use metronidazole. Metronidazole 500 milligram twice daily for 7 days, or metronidazole gel 0.75% on one full applicator intravaginally once a day for 5 days. Clindamycin cream 2% one full applicator intravaginally at bedtime. So you can remember just metronidazole 500 milligram orally twice daily for 7 days, and just remember the names of the other drugs used, that is clindamycin cream. So management of the sexual partners is not needed because it is not an STD. Pregnancy and bacterial vaginosis. Presence of bacterial vaginosis in first trimester can lead to late second trimester miscarriages and preterm labor. So women with the previous history of second trimester abortions or preterm delivery should be examined for bacterial vaginosis, and if positive, it should be treated. And metronidazole is safe in pregnancy, but large doses should be avoided. So coming to Trichomonas vaginalis, it is a sexually transmitted infection. It is caused by Trichomonas vaginalis. Many infected women have symptoms characterized by diffuse malodorous yellowish green vaginal discharge with vulvar irritation is present, whereas it is absent in bacterial vaginosis. However, some women may have minimal or no symptom. So what are the clinical features? That is diffuse malodorous yellow-green vaginal discharge with vulvar irritation. So this is frothy white vaginal discharge seen on speculum examination. On left side, you can see multiple punctate appearance. It is called a strawberry cervix, and strawberry vagina is also present. So what are signs and symptoms? 50% are asymptomatic, and other patients may present with severe discomfort. That is, vulvar irritation might be present. Symptoms worse during pregnancy or right before or after the menstrual period. What is the principal symptom persisting vaginal discharge is profuse, frothy, greenish foul-smelling discharge. Vaginal itching, irritation, and pain may be present. There is patchy redness of the genitalia, including labia and vagina as seen, and also cervix, which causes strawberry cervix. We can see strawberry cervix on speculum examination. There is frequent and painful dysuria, pain during micturition. Because of vulvar irritation, there will be excoriation of the skin, and which thereby leads to painful dysuria. Generalized vaginal erythema with multiple small petechiae may be present, which is called as strawberry vagina. What is diagnosis? Under microscopy of the vaginal secretions, wet mount preparation, we can see trichomonas. And on culture, it is more sensitive and specific, but it is not commercially feasible. And DNA probe test can also be done. So you can be asked the diagram picture of Trichomonas vaginalis. It is a pear-shaped flagellated organism which can be seen on hanging drop motility, and there will be flashing motility or dangling motility on motility on microscopic examination. So treatment is metronidazole 2 gram orally single dose. Others are tinidazole, and alternative regimen is 500 milligram orally twice daily for 7 days, which is similar to that of bacterial vaginosis. That is 500 milligram twice daily for 7 days. Sexual partners should be treated because it is an STI. So vulvovaginal candidiasis, it is caused by Candida albicans. Candida albicans, and it can also be caused by other candidal organisms, that is Candida tropicalis, glabrata, crucia, and parasilosis, or yeasts. So it can be caused by albicans, or it can be caused by tropicalis, glabrata, crucia, and parasilosis. 75% of the women will have at least one episode of vulvovaginal candidiasis, and 40 to 45% have 2 or more episodes. So this is important because Candida albicans causes uncomplicated VVC, whereas other species causes complicated VVC. That is Candida tropicalis, glabrata, crucia, and parasilosis. So vulvovaginal candidiasis, what are the symptoms? That is pruritus, vaginal soreness, dyspareunia, and dysuria. What are the typical symptoms? That is pruritus. Pruritus, which is also present in Trichomonas vaginalis, whereas absent in bacterial vaginosis. Vaginal soreness and dyspareunia and dysuria. None of the symptoms is specific for vulvovaginal candidiasis. Abnormal vaginal discharge may be present. White, curdy-like cheesy vaginal discharge is present. So in Trichomonas vaginalis, greenish frothy discharge is present, whereas in vulvovaginal candidiasis, it is curd-like cheesy vaginal discharge is present. Pruritus is present in both Trichomonas and vulvovaginal candidiasis, whereas absent in bacterial vaginosis. You are frequently asked the question pruritus vulvae. So you have to answer. Trichomonas vaginalis also causes, vulvovaginal candidiasis also causes, vaginal atrophies and dystrophies. Vulvar atrophies and dystrophies also cause pruritus vulvae. So you must be able to answer. Uncomplicated vulvovaginal candidiasis, sporadic or infrequent VVC, mild to moderate VVC. Uncomplicated is sporadic or infrequent, it is mild to moderate, and it is likely caused by Candida albicans, and it occurs in non-immunocompromised females. Whereas complicated VVC is recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, it is severe VVC, it is non-albicans candidiasis, that is caused by tropicalis, glabrata, parasilosis. And women with uncomplicated diabetes, debilitation or immunosuppression, or those who are pregnant are more prone for complicated VVC because it occurs in immunocompromised patients. So what is the diagnostic considerations of uncomplicated is based on clinical features, only external dysuria, vulvar pruritus, pain, swelling, and redness are present. Signs include vulvar edema, fissures, excoriation, or thick, curdy vaginal discharge is present. Demonstration of the mycelia, either on wet mount preparation, we can see mycelia, or yeasts or pseudohyphae are seen. This is your MCQ. Yeasts or pseudohyphae are seen in which infection? That is in vulvovaginal candidiasis. and the culture of the test yields positive result for yeast, but normal vaginal pH is maintained. That is, acidic pH is maintained. pH is unaltered. pH is unaltered in vulvovaginal candidiasis, whereas it is altered in Trichomonas vaginalis and also in bacterial vaginosis. Wetmont preparation shows normal pH. Yeast cells are present. Yeast or pseudohyphae is present, and KOH preparation destroy cellular elements to facilitate recognition of the budding yeast or hyphae, negative in up to 50% of culture proven candidiasis. So what is the treatment? Treatment is, I will, in next slide I will explain. Treatment is intravaginal butoconazole 2% cream 5 gram intravaginally for 3 days, or clotrimazole is most commonly used in clinical practice. Clotrimazole 1% cream 5 gram intravaginally for 7 to 14 days, or clotrimazole tablet 100 milligram vaginal tablet for 7 days. Meconazole 2% cream 5 gram intravaginally for 7 days. Oral regimen is fluconazole 150 milligram oral tablet stat, that is single dose. So what are the intravaginal agents? Intravaginal agents are cotrimoxazole 1% or meconazole 2%, and oral regimen is fluconazole. Whereas in Trichomonas vaginalis and bacterial vaginosis, it is metronidazole 500 milligram orally BD for 7 days. In complicated VVC, topical treatment has to be extended till 2 weeks. And in recurrent vulvovaginal candidiasis, recurrence means at least 4 episodes of the infection should occur in an year, or positive microscopy of moderate to heavy growth of Candida albicans should be seen. So what is the induction regimen? Induction regimen is fluconazole 150 milligram is given in 3 doses orally every 72 hours. That is fluconazole 150 milligram every 72 hours for 3 doses. And maintenance dose is fluconazole 150 milligram weekly for 6 months. So in uncomplicated vulvovaginal candidiasis, treatment is clotrimazole or oral fluconazole 150 milligram stat single dose. Whereas in complicated vaginalis, topical treatment, that is clotrimazole, should be extended up to 2 weeks. And in recurrent VVC, the induction regimen is fluconazole 150 milligram, 3 doses 72 hours apart, or maintenance dose of 150 milligram weekly for 6 months. In pregnancy, topical imidazole may be used for 2 weeks, or clotrimazole can be given. That is vaginal infection. So vulvar infections. Vulvar infections include genital warts. Genital warts is caused by human papillomavirus 6 and 11. It is also called as condyloma acuminata. Genital warts caused by human papillomavirus are called as condyloma acuminata. The peak incidence is among 15 to 25 years. Clinical features are these warts are soft, sessile, and/or varicose lesions are present. So usually multifocal and asymptomatic, and there may be itching, burning, bleeding, and pain on touch. It is usually diagnosed clinically by colposcopy. Colposcopy will be separately dealt in CIN, in which HPV infections are also included. Treatment modalities are application of cytotoxic or keratolytic agents, that is podophyllin, or surgical excision. Surgical excision using cryotherapy or diathermy. Cryotherapy means using cold knife, and diathermy means using electrical cautery. Cytodestructive techniques, that is immune modulators, that is interferon. Prevention is vaccines are available. They are Gardasil or Silgard. Gardasil or Silgard are against HPV 6, 11, 16, and 18. The dose is 0, 2, and 6 months before first sexual exposure. And Cervarix is bivalent vaccine, that is against human papillomavirus 6 and 18. It is 0, 6, and 0, 1, and 6 is the dose, 6 months. Molluscum contagiosum, it is caused by pox virus infection. It is spread by skin contact or autoinoculation. What is autoinoculation? The infection spreads from one side to other side in the same individual. That is called as autoinoculation. And by fomites. Appearance of dome-shaped papules with central umbilication is present, 2 to 5 millimeter in diameter, with white waxy material. That is what is the characteristic feature of Molluscum contagiosum is dome-shaped papules with central umbilication measuring 2 to 5 millimeter with white waxy material within. It is usually asymptomatic, but pruritus may be present and may become inflamed and swollen. Diagnosis is by Gimser staining. Molluscum bodies are present. So these are important in MCQs for you. Gimser staining is done in Molluscum contagiosum and molluscum bodies are present. It is self-limited, and treatment modalities are cryotherapy or electrocoagulation of the nodules may be done. Pediculosis pubis, it is caused by ectoparasite, that is Pithyrus pubis. So what are clinical features? Intense pruritus may be present in affected areas. Some may present with maculopapular rash. So diagnosis is by gross visualization of the lice or larvae in the pubic hair, or microscopic identification of crab-like lice under oil. Treatment is permethrin lotion 5%, 2 applications, 10 days apart. It is the treatment. Permethrin lotion 5%, 2 applications, 10 days apart. What is scabies? Scabies is caused by Sarcoptes scabies var hominis. That is, humans are the only species for only host for scabies. What it is transmitted by close contact. It occurs insidiously with severe intermittent pruritus. Characteristic lesion is 1 to 2 millimeter, 1 to 10 millimeter curving tract that serves as a house for the mite. So it is diagnosed clinically by the appearance of burrow. Treatment is same. Permethrin lotion 5% cream BD for 2 consecutive days, and antihistamines may be used to treat pruritus. So in pediculosis pubis, it is 5% permethrin cream, 2 applications 10 days apart, and in scabies, it is 5% permethrin cream 2 days, consequently for 2 days. So what are genital ulcers? Genital ulcers are caused by genital herpes, chancre or syphilis chancroid, granuloma inguinale, lymphogranuloma venereum, and tubercular ulcer. Tubercular ulcer will be dealt separately in genital tuberculosis. So genital herpes. Genital herpes is caused by both HSV2 and HSV1, whereas HSV2 causes 70 to 80% of genital herpes. HSV1 causes 30%. HSV1 is is the most common cause for orolabial infection. An incubation period is 3 to 7 days. HSV2 is almost entirely genital. It causes more than 94% of recurrent genital lesions. It may cause primary infections or recurrent infections or latency. So what are the modes of transmission? That is horizontal transmission, sexual contact, aerosol and fomier transmission is very rare. Vertical transmission, it occurs from maternal to infant via cervicovaginal secretions, blood or amniotic fluid, or to inoculation from one side to the another. So what are clinical features? Primary infection mainly presents as constitutional systemic manifestations, that is constitutional symptoms like malaise and fever, whereas locally it doesn't it is a painless ulcer. It is painful ulcer. It is painful ulcer. Locally it presents as vulvar paresthesia, clusters of small painful blisters that ulcerate. Peak incidence is 7 days and may last for 2 weeks. It sheds for several weeks. The organism HSV sheds for several weeks, and the ulcer heals without any scarring, and the virus is shed for weeks after appearance of the lesion. So what is recurrent herpes? It is because of reactivation of the virus. It is mild and self-limited. It is localized and lasts for 6 to 7 days. It sheds for 4 to 5 days. Prodrome lasts for 1 to 2 days. Prodrome are symptoms like burning or itching in the affected area. So what is latent herpes? Latent herpes is HSV, herpes simplex virus, resides in the dorsal ganglia of S2, S3 and S4. Whenever there is stress, it activates and presents as recurrent herpes. Reactivates in immunocompromised states, and complications of HSV are encephalitis, UTI, etc. So how can you diagnose? Clinically, viral isolation. Viral isolation is the most specific, but it is very low sensitivity. It has very low sensitivity. Viral isolation is 50% for primary infection and 20% for recurrent infection. So direct detection of the virus can be done in Zank smear. It can be done only in primary and recurrent syphilis, but not in latency. Direct detection of the virus can be done under Zank smear and PCR. Serology, newer tests are available, that is herpes selective, herpes glycoprotein for IgG, ELISA, and on biopsy of the ulcer, it shows ground glass appearance. So what is the treatment? The goals of treatment are to shorten duration, to prevent complications, to prevent recurrences and decrease risk of transmission. So in primary genital herpes, acyclovir 200 milligram 5 times a day for 5 days is given. Other drugs are valcyclovir and betadine. Local application could be done. Counseling should be done to the patient because virus sheds for several weeks even after the ulcer subsides. So syphilis or chancre, that is caused by Treponema pallidum transmitted. So transmitted through contact with chancre. So syphilis is caused by Treponema pallidum. It is transmitted through contact with chancre or condylomata or mucosal lesion. It is there are primary, secondary, and tertiary syphilis. Stages occur over years to decades with periods of inactive or latent phase. Primary syphilis presents as hard, painless, solitary chancre. So chancre is present in syphilis, that is primary syphilis. So non-tender inguinal lymphadenopathy is frequently present. Chancre heals spontaneously. Secondary syphilis may be present as condyloma lata. Condyloma lata is a varicose lesion present on the external genitalia. Tertiary syphilis has systemic spread, that is neurocardio or skin manifestations as gamma. So diagnosis is primary syphilis is done under dark field microscopy. VDRL becomes positive after 1 to 4 weeks. Rapid plasma reagin or FTA ABS and microscopic hemagglutination. Microhemagglutination can be done. Treatment, as we know, treatment for syphilis is 2.5 million international units of benzathine penicillin, single dose. If latent phase lasts for more than 1 year, a weekly dose for 3 weeks should be given. Other drugs useful for syphilis are doxycycline, erythromycin, azithromycin, amoxicillin, and screening and counseling should be done. So in primary syphilis, chancre is present, and in secondary syphilis, condyloma lata is present. In tertiary syphilis, it may present as neurocardio or skin manifestation. Diagnosis is by VDRL. VDRL, RPR, and FTA ABS is present. VDRL is usually negative in primary syphilis, and it becomes positive only 1 to 4 weeks after the appearance of chancre. So Mycoplasma genitalium, it is sexually transmitted diseases, but it does not have any external manifestations as others like ulcers or warts. It causes urethritis, cervicitis, and PID. It is diagnosed by nucleic acid amplification test and PCR. Treatment is moxifloxacin 400 milligram OD for 7 days. So what is chancroid? It is caused by Haemophilus ducreyi. The lesion lasts as multiple vesicopustules over vulva, vagina, and cervix that sloughs to form shallow ulcers. So chancroid is a soft sore. It is usually present. It is usually present on traumatized skin or on traumatized skin. So it is very painful lesion. Lesions are very painful, tender, and have foul, purulent, or hemorrhagic discharge. So diagnosis is by examination of the ulcer, and the ulcer is punched out and it is sharply demarcated. On gram staining, it presents a school of fish. So treatment is azithromycin 1 gram single dose, and other drugs that could be used are erythromycin, ceftriaxone, and Bactrim DS. Chancroid is caused by Haemophilus ducreyi, and it is a painful ulcer. It is sharply demarcated, punched out ulcer, and it gives school of appearance on gram staining. And treatment is azithromycin 1 gram single dose. Others are erythromycin, ceftriaxone. So lymphogranuloma venereum, it is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis. These are L serotypes 1, 2, and 3. Clinical features are painless papule or pustular ulcer in vulva or cervix. So lymphogranuloma venereum gives painless papule or pustule or ulcer in vulva or cervix. Diagnosis is mainly based on clinical features. Classical sign is groove sign. That is a depression present between two groups of lymph nodes. That is external inguinal group of lymph nodes and internal inguinal group of lymph nodes. Inclusion bodies are seen in the smear. Inclusion bodies are Chlamydia trachomatis is essentially an intracellular parasite. It is not extracellular. So it appears as inclusion bodies under microscopy. Complications are it infects all the columnar epithelium, that is rectal epithelium, rectoanal epithelium is also involved, so causes proctitis, which there may lead to stricture formation, and which may lead to rectovaginal fistula because of hard stools and pressure on the vulva vagina, it may lead to rectovaginal fistula. So treatment is tetracycline 500 milligram QID for 3 weeks or doxycycline 100 milligram BD for 3 weeks, or other sulfonamides like erythromycin, azithromycin, and amoxicillin. So lymphogranuloma venereum, chlamydia trachomatis treatment is tetracycline or doxycycline or sulfonamides. Granuloma inguinale, it is caused by Calymatobacterium granulomatis. It begins as painless nodule from multiple beefy red painless ulcers. So granuloma inguinale is painless ulcer, and Haemophilus ducrei causes painful ulcer. Syphilis, in syphilis, primary syphilis, it is painful. Secondary syphilis, it is painless, and in chlamydia trachomatis also it is painless. So our granuloma inguinale is a painless nodule, forms multiple beefy red painless ulcers. So diagnosis is by Donovan bodies. Donovan bodies are intercellular bodies. Molluscum bodies are present in Molluscum contagiosum. Donovan bodies are present in granuloma inguinale. It is caused by Calymatobacterium granulomatosis. Inclusion bodies are present in Chlamydia trachomatis. So what is treatment? Treatment is tetracycline 500 milligram QID for 2 to 3 weeks. Others are chloramphenicol and gentamicin. So tetracycline is used in granuloma inguinale and lymphogranuloma venereum. So complications of the lower genital tract infection. Cervicitis. Cervicitis is caused by gonorrhea and chlamydia. Two types of cells line the cervix, as you all know. That is flat skin-like cells, that is squamous cells, and glandular cells that secrete the mucus. The same organism responsible for vaginitis can cause cervicitis. Cervicitis means inflammation of the cervix. So most common cause for STDs causing cervicitis is gonorrhea and chlamydia. The two major diagnostic signs characterize acute cervicitis are purulent or mucopurulent endocervical exudate visible in the endocervical canal or on endocervical swab specimen, and sustained endocervical bleeding easily induced by genital passage of a cotton swab, that is bleeding on touch, is present through the cervical os. Either or both the signs might be present. So mucopurulent discharge or on passing a cotton swab through the endocervical canal, bleeding occurs. These two are the diagnostic signs of acute cervicitis. And some patients are asymptomatic, but some women complain of abnormal vaginal discharge and intermenstrual bleeding. Chlamydia. Chlamydia trachomatis is D2K serotypes, affects columnar and transitional epithelium of the genital urinary tract, urethra, cervix, and Bartholin gland. 75% of the cases are asymptomatic. It commonly presents as abnormal vaginal discharge, burning, micturition, spotting, or postcoital bleeding. So most of the patients with chlamydia trachomatis are asymptomatic, but other clinical symptoms may include abnormal vaginal discharge, burning, micturition, because it affects the columnar and transitional epithelium. Spotting and postcoital bleeding may be present because it affects the endocervical canal and the cervix, because of which on touching spotting may be present and may be present as acute PID. Complications are, it may affect the transitional epithelium. So urethritis, Bartholinitis, and ascending infections may lead to endometritis and salpingitis. Salpingitis is most important because once chlamydia trachomatis infects fallopian tubes, it may lead to infertility and ectopic pregnancy. Ascending infection may cause infection of the liver capsule, that is perihepatitis may be present, which lead to Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome. Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome is pain in the right hypochondrium. Diagnosed. It is diagnosed by nucleic acid amplification testing and tissue culture, that is McCoy cell culture may be used because it is an intracellular organism. Only cell cultures and tissue cultures can be done. We can't do on Seborrheic agar, etc. Azithromycin 1 gram single dose is needed for chlamydia trachomatis. Others are doxycycline, ofloxacin, and erythromycin. So gonorrhea, causative organism is Neisseria gonorrhea. It is columnar, it infects columnar and transitional epithelium. So it is most common infected site is endocervix. Upper genital tract is involved because of piggyback fashion. Piggyback fashion means along with the sperms, the Neisseria gonorrhea ascends up up to the genital tract, to the upper genital tract, whereby it causes infection of the endometrium and the fallopian tube. And 50% of the patients are asymptomatic, and it presents with vaginal discharge, which is white to yellowish, dysuria, abnormal uterine bleeding, perihepatitis, septicemia. And complications are, because it infects the fallopian tube, it may cause infertility and ectopic pregnancy, and it may present as tubo-ovarian mass and chronic pelvic pain. So diagnosed by culture, that is Thayer-Martin medium and nucleic acid amplification testing. McCoy cell agar for chlamydia trachomatis, and Thayer-Martin medium is for gonorrhea. And the treatment is ceftriaxone 250 milligram IM single dose plus azithromycin 1 gram oral dose. For chlamydia trachomatis, it is azithromycin 1 gram oral dose. And for gonorrhea, it is ceftriaxone 500 milligram IM single dose plus azithromycin 1 gram oral dose. Alternative regimens are cefixime plus doxycycline. So causes of cervicitis are gonorrhea and chlamydia. Chlamydia is asymptomatic, and it may complicate as infertility, ectopic pregnancy, Fitzhugh-Curtis syndrome, and it is treated with azithromycin. Gonorrhea in 50% of the patients it is asymptomatic, as it also causes UTI. It may present as dysuria, AUB, perihepatitis, and septicemia, and vaginal discharge. Complications are infertility and ectopic pregnancy. Treatment for both is azithromycin 1 gram single dose, along with the ceftriaxone 250 milligram IM single dose should be given for gonorrhea. Bartholin duct cysts and abscess. Causes of Bartholin duct cysts are because of the obstruction of main duct of the Bartholin gland, results in retention of secretion of the Bartholin duct and cystic dilatation, and it causes obstruction which may lead to infection, insipiciated mucus, congenital narrowing of the duct. What are signs and symptoms? Patient may present with absolutely no symptoms, but once abscess is found, patient will feel pain, tenderness, and dyspareunia. Surrounding tissues becomes edematous and inflamed, and fluctuant tender mass is usually palpable. So what is the treatment of Bartholin abscess? Drainage of the infected cyst or abscess, and antibiotic should be used. Excision of the cyst may be required in recurrent cases. Because there is no way for the duct to drain outside, it is blocked, excision of the cyst has to be done. So what are the distinguishing features of bacterial vaginitis? That is bacterial. I will discuss this slide at the end. So what is syndromic management of sexually transmitted diseases? This is being frequently asked in your previous question papers. Syndromic management of STI. So what is it has been given by WHO in 1992, and the principle is to treat the patient and to counsel regarding prevention. And method is history taking is like regarding medical history and also sexual history, and we will do speculum and bimanual examination, and we will do voluntary testing and counseling for HIV. Because sexually transmitted infections commonly coexist with other infections, that is hepatitis and HIV. So counseling for prevention of STIs has to be done. That is, partners should be treated, and use of barrier contraceptives like condom should be educated to the population. So there are various kits available for treatment of sexually transmitted diseases. So what are the kits available for STDs? There are kit 1, that is gray, kit 2 green, kit 5 is red, and kit 6 is yellow. Kit 1 is gray, that is tablet azithromycin 1 gram stat plus tablet cefixime 400 milligram OD. It is used for urethral discharge, cervical discharge, and painful scrotal swelling. Used for cervical discharge, urethral discharge, and painful scrotal swelling. And it is tablet azithromycin 1 gram stat plus tablet cefixime 400 milligram OD stat. And kit 2, that is for vaginal discharge. It is secnidazole and fluconazole 150 milligram. Fluconazole 150 milligram stat and secnidazole 2 gram OD stat. Kit 1 gray, that is cervical discharge and urethral discharge. The most common organisms causing cervical and urethral discharges are gonococcus and chlamydia trachomatis. So the treatment used was tablet azithromycin 1 gram stat and tablet cefixime. There we use ceftriaxone IM 250 milligram IM stat. Here we are giving another cephalosporin cefixime 400 milligram OD stat. And for vaginal discharge, so what are the organisms causing vaginal discharge? Bacterial vaginosis, Trichomonas vaginalis, and Candida. So what is the treatment? Metronidazole should be given, and metronidazole, and the other drug which we use is another azole, fluconazole, because for Candida we used 150 milligrams stat fluconazole. So here we are using secnidazole 2 gram odistat plus fluconazole 150 milligrams stat. So what is Kit Red? Kit Red is used for genital herpetic ulcer. There we have studied for herpes, genital herpes, we have given 400 milligram 5 times a day for 7 days. But here we give 400 milligram according to WHO, 400 milligram TID for 7 days. So Kit 6 or yellow, that is stabbed tablet. Kit 6 or yellow kit, it is used for lower abdominal pain. As we know, that is chronic pelvic pain, which is being caused by genital herpes may cause it, or HPV may cause it, or gonococcus may cause it because of ascending infections. So we have to give, for lower abdominal pain, we have to give tablet cefixime, that is 400 milligram odistat as in kit 1, plus tablet metronidazole 400 milligram BD for 14 days, plus tablet doxycycline 100 milligram BD for 14 days. So in kit 6 we are giving cefixime, metronidazole, and doxycycline because it is lower abdominal pain, chronic pelvic pain, and because of ascending infection we have to treat it with higher drugs for a longer duration of time. So kit 1 is tablet azithromycin 1 gram stat plus tablet cefixime 400 milligram OD for urethral, cervical discharge, and painful scrotal swelling. Kit 2 or green, that is secnidazole and fluconazole. Secnidazole is 2 grams OD stat and fluconazole 150 milligram stat has to be given. Red is for herpes, that is acyclovir 400 milligram TID for 7 days. For kit 6 is yellow, tablet cefixime 4 milligram OD plus tab metronidazole 400 milligram BD for 14 days and doxycycline 100 milligram BD for 14 days. So this is not given in your short textbook. I have taken it from Gynec Datta and it may be asked. So what is management of STI? STI is based on syndromic approach. STI is based on syndromic approach, and vaginal discharge, Trichomonas vaginalis, vaginal discharge is caused by Trichomonas vaginalis, vulvovaginal candidiasis, and bacterial vaginosis. Cervicitis, that is caused by Chlamydia trachomatis and gonorrhea. Lower abdominal pain is caused by Chlamydia, gonorrhea, and other pyogenic organisms, and genital ulcers is caused by herpes chancroid and syphilis. What is advantage of syndromic management of STI? In syndromic management, it is done in peripheries where testing kits are not available and the follow-up of the patient is difficult. So in those scenarios, education, counseling, and treatment of the treating the patient is done based on purely syndromic approach, and standard protocols are followed whereby follow-up is easy, and it avoids delay. That is, as soon as the patient presents with clinical symptoms, treatment is given, kits are given out to the patient, and it avoids delay and need for any lab investigation, and prevents transmission of the, because it is treated early, transmission rate is decreased, and there is high cure rate. But the limitations are because of overdiagnosis and treatment of the patient. Treatment is done for both the partners, and it is only based on the based on symptoms, and there are no specific diagnostic tests done. So there is poor prediction rate. And here we have to compare bacterial vaginal infections, that is bacterial vaginosis, Trichomonas vaginalis, and candidiasis. So the discharge present in bacterial vaginosis is white, thin, homogeneous, and it is foul odor. Trichomonas greenish yellow, frothy and foul odor. In candidiasis, thick, curdy white discharge, and it is non-odorous. Other symptoms of pruritus and dysuria are present in both candidiasis and trichomoniasis, whereas they are absent in bacterial vaginosis. Since pruritus is present, there is erythema. Erythema means because of severe itching, there will be erythema in both trichomonas and candidiasis, but is absent in bacterial vaginosis. In trichomonas, there is strawberry vagina and strawberry cervix. In candidiasis, because of itching, there might be rash and erythema may be present. So pH is unaltered. pH is unaltered in candidiasis, whereas pH turns alkaline in both trichomonas and bacterial vaginosis. Diagnosis on wet mount preparation, we can examine the bacteria and clue cells. Clue cells are most diagnostic for bacterial vaginosis, and amine order is present in potassium hydroxide mount. That is called as WIF test. On Trichomonas, we can see motile organisms on wet mount preparation. That is pear-shaped flagellated organism could be seen. And in Candidiasis, we can see on potassium hydroxide mount, we can see pseudohyphae or fungal spores may be seen. Pseudohyphae, mycelia are absent. You have to remember that mycelia are absent on wet mount preparation of Candidiasis. Only yeast and pseudohyphae could be seen. No mycelia are present. So this is end of our discussion. Thank you. If you